The 51st state rhetoric has returned this Sunday night, why the U.S. president is once again saying his country should annex Canada.
It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States.
And the new false claims Trump is making about Canada. Turbulence at Vancouver International Airport. What caused chaos for travelers and dozens of delays? A prescription to fill the shortage of family physicians.
I need a doctor now.
One province's remedy to recruit overseas, and what else the solution needs. Plus, unconditional love and support.
I got your back.
This father's exceptional pride for his trans children.
Global National, reporting tonight, Ann Gaviola.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. Canada is bracing for a new round of tension with the U.S. as a long-simmering trade dispute heats up. Tomorrow, Ottawa's digital services tax kicks in, and it struck a nerve south of the border. Today, U.S. President Donald Trump doubled down on his assertion that trade talks are over with Canada until certain taxes are scrapped. And he's reviving an old threat. Mackenzie Gray reports.
Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
The president returning to his favorite insult during an interview on Fox, one that the Prime Minister said on CNN earlier this week was supposed to be dead.
Is he still saying he wants to annex Canada?
He's not. He's not. He admires Canada, I think it's fair to say, and maybe for a period of time coveted Canada.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The 51st state comments resurfacing come after Carney and Trump had seemed to forge a more positive relationship.
Thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president.
That flattery in contrast with Carney's elbows up campaign slogan.
These guys weren't wrong. They want us to be the 51st state. They want to break us. They want to break us so they can own us.
The change in tone, part of a strategy that senior Liberals tell Global News they feel is required to deal with Trump. They believe the president needs to be publicly praised without going over the top, but also that Trump does respect being spoken to directly in private meetings. It's a strategy that hasn't yielded a deal, and tariffs have actually increased under Carney, with Trump adding a new roadblock, supply management.
You're stopping all trade discussions with Canada?
Until such time as they drop certain taxes. They've charged our farmers up to 400%, almost 400%.
But farmers have actually never paid those tariffs thanks to CUSMA, the free trade deal that Trump negotiated. Take U.S. dairy farmers. They can send 50 billion liters of milk to Canada annually before any tariffs kick in, a threshold that's never been exceeded. But that isn't stopping Trump from making other false claims.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
you'll have to do it.
USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage.
Trump couldn't say what Canada is cheating on, but both the Canadian and Mexican governments maintain that steel and aluminum tariffs are illegal and violate the terms of the free trade deal.
That is Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thank you. More doubt is being cast on how damaging U.S. airstrikes were on Iran's nuclear capabilities. Today, the head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog said Iran could be producing enriched uranium within a few months. It contradicts Donald Trump's claim that Iran's nuclear facilities were totally obliterated. Candace Cole reports.
The head of the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency is backing up early findings from the Pentagon, suggesting last Saturday's attacks on 3 of Iran's key nuclear sites by American bomber jets only temporarily set back Iran's uranium enrichment program, rather than completely destroying it as suggested by President Trump a week ago.
One cannot claim that everything has disappeared and there is nothing there. It is clear that there has been severe damage, but it's not total damage. If they so wish, they will be able to start doing this again.
U.S. forces dropped Tomahawk missiles and bunker-busting bombs on nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan after Israel launched a 12-day war against Iran, also targeting its nuclear facilities. Sunday on Fox News, Trump doubled down on claims that Iran's nuclear capabilities had been destroyed.
They did obliterate it, it turned out. Then we had to suffer the fake news, where the fake news in CNN and the New York Times was saying, well, maybe it wasn't as good as Trump said. And then it turned out, no, it was obliterated like nobody's ever seen before.
But the IAEA says within a few months, Iran could be producing enriched uranium and claims the watchdog agency was pressured to exaggerate its findings.
There were many that were saying in your report, you must say that they have nuclear weapons or they are very close to have nuclear weapons. They didn't have nuclear weapons. Okay? This needs to be said.
Thursday, Iran's Constitutional Council voted to suspend cooperation with the IAEA. Now, leaders in the U.S. and around the world are urging diplomacy.
Let's not pretend that they don't have any capabilities. And the only way we can get resolution on that is if we have boots on the ground with inspectors. Right. That means we've got to go to diplomacy.
Iran is also weighing its participation in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
Canada is among the countries reaffirming LGBT rights for International Pride Day this weekend. The federal government released a joint statement with 14 other nations saying they reject all forms of violence, criminalization, stigmatization, or discrimination which constitute human rights violations against LGBTQI plus people. Notably, the U.S. did not endorse the statement. Now, there were still pride parades in big American cities like New York and San Francisco, though, some of which doubled as marches against the American president's crackdown on pride-friendly policies. Canada's largest city held its pride parade today. Lexi Benedict was there in the jam-packed streets of Toronto for the celebration.
Thousands flood the downtown streets as Toronto's Pride Parade ignites the city, an annual bold celebration of love, unity, and inclusivity.
The energy is amazing, electric.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Look how many people turned out this year. This is amazing.
It's another record setting in terms of Toronto hosting one of the largest prides in North America.
Over 1 million spectators, 25,000 marchers, and more than 250 groups participating. Despite the financial setbacks on the road here, Modeste says this year has proved to be bigger than ever.
We had a few sponsors that pulled out, but when you look at the streets of Toronto, you would not know that.
From the floats to the music to the energy, this year's Pride theme, All In, is on full display and a bold showcase of solidarity and inclusivity.
Flags waving, people cheering, performances and entertainment to the vibrant outfits. Mayor Olivia Chow also making an appearance.
The city of Toronto is all in for justice and love. And it's the freedom to love who you want and the freedom to be who you are.
The LGBTQ2+ community and its allies uniting at a time when that solidarity is needed most.
Especially in a time where people are scared to be themselves. We got to bring our kids and show them you're accepted everywhere they go.
This is an opportunity to bring everyone together and to just be very supportive of each other.
And while the community says they are celebrating how far they've come, it's also about more inclusivity and acceptance in the future.
This is 54 years of celebration and demonstration. Let's keep it going.
Lexi Benedict, Global News.
And it's been a frustrating weekend for thousands of travelers flying into and out of Vancouver. More than 200 flights were delayed or canceled on Saturday due to a shortage of air traffic control staff. While the airport can normally handle 36 flights per hour, it was down to 16 late yesterday. NAV Canada says its staffing levels were back to normal this morning, but there were still 24 flight delays on Sunday. In a statement Friday, WestJet said more than 300,000 of its customers have suffered delays since April.
So this has been an ongoing issue this year across a number of Canadian airports. Western Canada seems to be a little bit more acutely hit.
I can confirm that our staffing levels are tight at Vancouver. And so we're doing everything we can to address that.
Now, NAV Canada says it has more than 500 people training in its programs, but it takes 24 to 36 months to certify an air traffic controller. A lot of Canadians are reveling in a 4-day weekend right now. With Canada Day on a Tuesday, they've booked Monday off work. Now, for some, that's going to be unpaid. Others will have to use vacation time. But a few generous employers are doing something different, making tomorrow an extra paid day off. Kyle Benning looks at the payoff.
Punching in and out once the calendar changes to July becomes a little more difficult for workers. Wanting to relax over a long weekend with warmer weather isn't easy when a stat falls in the middle of the work week. But some Canadian companies, like Clarity, are looking to change that.
A lot of things that me and my colleagues, my coworkers would complain about, and I've done everything in my power now that I am an employer to not do those things, to do the things that I wish my bosses would do for me.
Moody Abdul founded the artificial intelligence company that supports therapists and knew he wanted to be a different boss than the ones he had over his working life. Which is why the culture he's tried to build with his 5-member staff is one that supports work-life balance and flexibility, something experts say has shifted as many workplaces had to adapt their ways of doing business over the COVID-19 pandemic.
And if it becomes, well entrenched, I think we'll push employers a bit, the old school employers, to just think a little more outside the box. Think about their staff as human beings, not as productive inputs.
And HR firms are taking note. Polling done by business consulting firm Robert Half found nearly half of all Canadian professionals reported feeling burned out in March, and more than 3 in 10 reported feeling more exhausted in 2025 than they were last year.
From a burnout perspective, it's imperative that people get time off. There's countless reports coming out from insurance companies saying that the highest cost driver for disability claims now is mental health issues.
But experts say everything is dependent on what businesses can afford, whether it's more time off or changes to health plans to offer better mental health supports. Abdul noting a single day off to extend a weekend is a small gesture, but it is the culture at the workplace that has led to retention of staff.
You don't just give somebody like an extra day off and see it come back that week. It's all these little decisions, the way that you take care of your people.
Kyle Benning, Global News, Toronto.
Lululemon is suing Costco. Find out why coming up. Plus, how Canadians feel about the country's immigration policies. Senate Republicans in the U.S. cleared a procedural vote late last night needed to pass President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
The yeas are 51, the nays are 49. The motion is agreed to.
Now, the tally came after several hours of negotiations. Republicans are divided over the legislation, which includes trillions of dollars in tax cuts and is projected to balloon the national deficit over the next decade. Proposed cuts would also strip millions of low-income Americans from health insurance. A final vote is expected in the coming days ahead of Trump's July 4th deadline to get it passed. Last night on Global National, we told you about a survey from the Alberta government asking if some immigrants should be denied access to social services. Well, tonight we have new insight about how people across the country feel about Canada's immigration policies, according to internal federal government polls obtained by Global News through access to information laws. Our chief political correspondent, David Akin, explains.
Throughout the Trudeau years, Canadians felt the government was on the right track when it came to immigration policy. But that changed rapidly in the fall of 2024. That's according to a series of internal polls done for the Prime Minister's office, polls obtained by Global News using a series of access to information requests.
Those polls showed that in mid-2022, 41% of Canadians thought the Trudeau government was on the right track. So far as immigration goes, while 25% thought it on the wrong track. The internal polling shows that ratio held steady until September 9th last year, when just 21% thought Ottawa was on the right track and 50% thought it on the wrong track.
2 weeks later, Trudeau's cabinet got the results of another internal poll on immigration.
51% said too many immigrants were coming to Canada. 52% said Canada should cut the number of immigrants. And few saw any downside to a cut, with 82% saying cutting immigration would have little or no impact on economic growth.
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
10 days later, on October 24th, then Immigration Minister Mark Miller told the House immigration levels were being cut by 20%.
What we propose is a plan for controlled migration. We're proud of it. It serves Canadians well.
And yet, those same internal federal polls told Trudeau's cabinet cutting immigration might not solve housing or healthcare problems. Just 39% of all Canadians believed housing would become more affordable with an immigration cut, although 52% of Albertans believed it would. 37% of all Canadians said healthcare wait times will get shorter with fewer immigrants, while 47% of Albertans said the same thing.
The Carney government has not signaled any major changes to the Trudeau-era immigration policy. Immigration levels will continue to decline over the next 3 years. But Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is clearly hinting that she may take some steps so that some immigrants might look to another province if they're coming to Canada. David Akin, Global News, Ottawa.
Lululemon is suing Costco for allegedly ripping off its clothing designs. The Canadian lifestyle brand, based in Vancouver, alleges Costco is selling dupes of some of its most popular sweatshirts, pants, and jackets. The lawsuit claims the knockoffs violate Lululemon's patent and trademark rights in its designs. Costco has yet to file a response. Help needed. Ahead, the pilot project promising to bring more family doctors to Nova Scotia. If you don't have a family doctor, you are certainly not alone. About 6.5 million Canadians are in the same boat, according to the Canadian Medical Association. And finding a family doctor will only get tougher. It's predicted Canada will be short almost 20,000 of them in 6 years. Nova Scotia is hoping to cure this problem by luring medical residents from Lebanon. Heidi Petracek explains how the plan works and what else will be critical to the solution.
Dr. Mohammed Saror is originally from Lebanon, but has been practicing family medicine in Halifax since October, thanks to a Nova Scotia pilot project.
Patients are really appreciative of us leaving our countries and coming in here to help and to practice family medicine.
Tapping into the province's robust Lebanese community, the government is spending $5 million over 5 years to cover the cost of 10 medical school residency positions at the Lebanese American University in Beirut, plus licensing exam fees and immigration expenses. Each doctor would then have to practice in the province for at least 3 years.
Very specific, targeted recruitment when supported by diplomatic ties and received by a welcoming community can bear fruit.
As of May 1st, more than 91,000 Nova Scotians are seeking a family doctor, a number that once peaked at 160,000 a year ago. Nationally, it's estimated more than 6 million Canadians don't have a primary caregiver.
Not having a family doctor is very scary.
Danny Spidell is one of them. He has atrial fibrillation, which means his heart can race at 180 beats per minute. He's had multiple ER visits, waiting hours at a time. He's tried virtual and pharmacy care, but finds the lack of continuity frustrating.
I need a doctor now, not 2 years, not 3 years down the road.
Provinces are competing with each other, trying to have better deals, trying to entice the family doctors from one part of the country to go to another part of the country, but there's only so many.
We need to train more. In the short term, we need to retain those that we have within our places of employment.
Top doctors say retaining physicians is the next big hurdle after recruiting them, something Nova Scotia is counting on when its new doctors come to town. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
The beautiful game with AI. Next, the humanoid robots facing off in a fully autonomous soccer match. Well, they don't have the scoring prowess of Ronaldo, and they're a little clumsy on the pitch. But these Robo-League players still draw a crowd. This weekend, China completed its first fully autonomous 3v3 AI robot football match. The humanoid players relied solely on AI-driven strategies. It sets the stage for the 2025 World Humanoid Sports Games in August, the first global sporting event of its kind. Every June, Pride Month is held to honor and celebrate LGBTQ2+ people. Acceptance is the biggest challenge, and for many, coming out to their parents is downright frightening. So, when a Saskatchewan father learned 2 of his children were transgender, he didn't just show them his love and support. He did it in a very loud and proud way. Heather Urix-West explains.
This is the world he knows best. Wearing the uniform of a typical business guy, day-to-day, Jada Yee is as straight-laced as they come.
Jada is very well-mannered and very professional, and like I said, always in a suit.
But first and foremost, Jada is a dad. So when two of his children revealed themselves to be transgender, Jada knew he wanted to do everything he could to make his kids' world safe.
For me, this is my kind of way to protest in a good way, to cause that good trouble, but also to show my children and many other transgender children, I got your back.
And so, 2 years ago, China Be Deadly hit the scene. Jada says the learning curve has been a steep one, but the local queer community has welcomed him, a straight man happily married to his wife Christy, with open arms. Jada says he's come to respect drag as an art form at a time when the need for allyship support is especially high. Legislation in neighboring Alberta has already rolled back transgender rights, restricting access to gender-affirming medical care for minors, while limiting education around gender identity and banning transgender women from playing competitive female sports.
Looking at my children, seeing them transition, I see them much happier. I just think it's a lack of basically empathy or sympathy when it comes to infringing on people's human rights.
It's why in her second year of Pride Month performances, China Be Deadly is only getting bolder, with plans to keep dancing for many years to come. Heather Urix West, Global News, Calgary.
Something that's been going on strong for 44 years is Toronto's Pride Parade. We leave you with more sights and sounds from today's event, one of the largest celebrations of its kind in the world. That is Global National for this Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.